Differing opinions while dining, but will any of the participants attempt to break bread together?
As this series of Dinner with the Enemy continues, we're talking to participants still Wickremasinghe and Tayem Mercer about their experience at the table. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Tayem, tell us, for people who haven't seen Dinner with the Enemy, tell us a little bit more about the show.
Yeah, so it's essentially, I think it depicts what's going on in society right now, where a lot of things are dividing people and people aren't talking about it. So with Dinner with the Enemy, it's essentially 10 people sitting down at a table discussing key topics ranging from immigration to all throughout different things of life. And we all differ strongly in view, so the conversations can get intense and challenging. But it's an opportunity, I think, which will educate people on that aspect of being able to talk to people that you don't agree on and keep it respectful, and we can still break bread after. Try to.
That is very interesting. Yeah. It's about having to look people in the eye and be like, OK, this is interesting. So it's on tonight at 9 o'clock on Virgin Media 1. You can see it on Virgin Media Play. Let's catch up on last week's episode before we talk about tonight's.
I've had nothing but powerful, incredible relationships with a lot of Irish people. Hang on. But in Ireland, have you had more positive experiences with Irish people than negative?
Negative.
Andy, choose someone to leave the conversation to make room for a new diner.
So I'll choose Izzy to go.
Take care.
Cheers.
Take care, Izzy.
Good to meet you.
When fierce opponents break bread, will they find common ground?
Well, I feel like Izzy was also a good voice for me when I lost my voice.
But you're not here for Izzy to speak for you. You're here to
yeah, true. Okay, you're right. Okay.
Or will the divide deepen?
I mean, Dill, poor you. You're walking in and there's someone bawling, crying because you're like, hold on, what's going on?
Even before I walked in, all I could hear was people shouting. And the last thing I wanted to do was walk into that room. And then when I walked into the room, I saw one of my biggest, legendary, iconic figures in the Irish LGBTQI movement, Izzy Kamikaze. I was replacing her. Like, she's the first person I saw in my first gay pride 25 years ago. She's the person I kind of always wanted to be when I grew up. And then suddenly I was taking her place. It was, you can see it on my face. I was about to pass out.
Yeah, you didn't look like
awful. I felt sick, yeah.
Hey, were you glad, though, to have, it's difficult to come into a table like this where so many things had already been discussed. A lot of people had... they probably knew each other a little bit more. Coming in as a bit of an outsider, not knowing what you're going into might have been difficult and intimidating, maybe.
It was incredibly anxiety-provoking, but I think my psychotherapy training kind of geared me for this because I'm very familiar with group dynamics. And the moment I walked in, I was really interested in listening because from the get-go, I wanted to be curious. Yeah. Why do so many of us here have such different views? Why were we picked to be on this show to begin with? And I identified from the very start, there was a lot of trauma around the table, like myself. You know, we all come from a place of trauma, and a lot of us were talking from that place of trauma. So when we are hurt, we want to hurt, or when we have not been seen, we don't want to see other people. So I kind of had my psychotherapist hat on for a little bit.
It's interesting, like you did get to sit down quite quickly and kind of take all this in and go, okay, what's going on there? But that is like, Tayem, why do you think you were chosen to be part of this group? What was it that
the dress
you
sense
wanted?
for sure.
Well, I'm sorry, like
very impressive.
He walked in and our cameraman Derek, who has been here since the start of Ireland Day, and was like, I'm sorry, you're the best dressed guest we have ever had.
Thank you. I think for me, it's just that ability of being able to say what I feel. And as I say, right, telling the truth is the risk being offensive, as long as that's not the goal, what you're trying to do. But I do understand that when you speak your mind and you're very opinionated, other people can react differently. So I think I was brought on for that because some of the views that I hold and some of the, I suppose, my viewpoints were strong. And I'd hold it, and I'm not afraid to say it. Just my views overall with regards to immigration, with regards to, you know, things that are going on in the country. Even from a perspective of, like, gender conversation, which is always a difficult one. And I think we had that on the show with Jacob and with Dill when she came in as well. You know, to have your opinion...
Not a fan of polyamory, I believe.
No. But to have that and say that, where most people are afraid to say their opinion at the risk of being labelled as something else.
Well, that's it, Dill, because you came to the table and expressed how you're polyamorous. Yeah. And this, of course, opened...
Not for time.
No. OK, but were you willing... Is that what you wanted to do, to open up this conversation? It's important to have this conversation with people who might not agree with it.
Well, for me, I'd rather have someone like Tayem who'll tell me things to my face and say, look, you know what, this is... I'm happy for you, but this is not for me, you know, or, and then at least we can have a conversation. Then I can be curious and say, oh, how come, you know? I know your views about same-sex marriage as well, you know, I think maybe have softened after meeting me and Jacob. But at least then there's a possibility to have a conversation. But in relation to immigration, there's so many people who say, oh, Ireland is the land of Céad Míle Fáilte, and there isn't any racism here. And this has been something that's been said for the last 25 years, for as long as I've been here. But the reality is every human being is racist. All of us. We all have unconscious bias. And the sooner we address it, the sooner we talk about it, the sooner then we can actually have a conversation and go, why do you feel this way? Is it because of something that you saw? Is it because of a bad experience? At least there's an openness to discuss, to have a conversation, to explore. But when people pretend to be open and welcoming and we are brilliant, then it's like a wall. There's nowhere to go from there. You know?
An awful lot of time we have views on something we know nothing about, like that we might not have experienced. You know, people might have views on black people, might know a black person, might have views on gay people, might never have met a gay person in their lives and hold very strong views. That's something that I think is very interesting, because you can be afraid of the unknown.
Absolutely.
You've said that some of your views have softened as a result of having conversations, like in relation to same-sex marriage or sexuality. Like, was it really just chatting to someone?
Absolutely, it was, Because, let me put it this way, more times in life we have conversations with people that agree with us, right? I was never in a position to have a conversation with somebody who was a transgender. But when I had the conversation, I could ask questions that I didn't know, right? And I could hear from his experiences, and it softened my own understanding, where it gave me a little bit more emotional intelligence to have a bit more empathy rather than judgment. So I had strong judgments before, and going on the show, I was like, I'm going to stick to this, I'm going to say this, I'm going to be like this. But when I got there, it was like, let me listen to his experiences. And when I listened to it, I understood that the things that I knew were wrong, and I need to be different in my approach. So if we don't have those conversations, this is society. Everybody's having online conversations, not in-person conversations. And when you have it, you learn something new.
But would you not say that we're not having online conversations because online is not conversations, and when somebody says something online that you disagree with, a lot of the time they're blocked?
Absolutely.
It's just outrage. You know, you just get a wall of anger.
To be outraged.
Yeah, and it's like, hello, this is your nervous system. Getting outraged and getting angry is not good for you. So, you know, try and calm yourself first before you have a conversation with someone, because then you can't listen.
This was obviously a situation. It's around a dinner table. It's planned, and the questions are planned. Is it something that we need to look at as a country? From a government perspective, and how do we actually open up these conversations, because they are stirring a lot of hatred and evilness around the country.
But there's a long tradition. There's a long tradition in this country about Sunday dinners. The family meets for Sunday dinner, and that's a perfect example of where people come together and have an opportunity to open each other's minds. During the marriage referendum, we were, as LGBTQ people, we were encouraged to go to our homes in different parts of the country and have those uncomfortable conversations about how are you going to vote for the marriage referendum. And then guess what happened? 2015, one of the most historic moments in Ireland. We got the marriage referendum across, and then people like me were able to get married because of those uncomfortable conversations.
What's the reaction been, team? Because I know some people, like friends of mine, we were having dinner. We had people over at our house the other night. There was like 12 of us, and we were talking about it. And they were like, God, it was really interesting. Like, we were all chatting about conversations that ye had brought up. Because you are making people have those. So what's the reaction been like?
No, reaction's been positive, predominantly positive from my side. And I think hearing people's feedback about the show's been positive. They like it because it's different characteristics. Everybody might relate to somebody else on the show. But just to kind of go back on Bill's point, I think it's important that we encourage more of those conversations. I think from a government level, you asked the question, colleges need to create more debate platforms, right, where people can have, in a controlled environment, these conversations and debate different opinions. I think that's the only way we can grow and really have a better functioning society where it's more integrated.
Schools, sports clubs, everything. They're all,
clubs,
you know,
everywhere across the board.
I
think more debates need to be had. I think that's something that's not done a lot in this country.
Absolutely. Would you do it again?
Absolutely, yeah.
Would you, Dale?
Okay. Go on then.
Yeah, very good.
Well done.
Only if time is going to be part of it.
Well, but that's great. Isn't that amazing? Because probably in some of your views you would have been opposite ends of the scale and certain things. But
we still are. But it's that aspect that you can have a respectful, mature conversation with somebody who you disagree on. And that's a nice thing.
Yeah.
I find the benefits because I'm learning and she's learning. And there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah, Dylan
you have
Tayem, it's
it.
been a
That's
pleasure
absolutely
having you in this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
She's
much.
calmed me. She's automatically with the psychotherapy. I'm like, oh yeah, it's
not
our
what it's all
nervous
about.
system. That's what it's
It's
all about.
respect. That's what it's all about. Love
Dinner
that.
with the Enemy.
Fair
It
play.
continues tonight at 9 o'clock on Virgin Media 1 and Virgin Media Play. And you can catch up on all episodes on Virgin Media Play as well.